Montreal skyline, under midnight cover, BMF and angels, rivals hate each other, cocaine. The cover, kidnapping, torturing, no time to rediscover. Gunfire, lifestyle, millions, life, drought, robbing, arson, quick, bout, red gangs, go down. You the name the traitors, loyalty to anchor, blood stains the street, Montreal skyline, under midnight cover, BMF and angels, rivals hate each other, cocaine runs, deep transactions undercover, kidnapping, torturing, no time to rediscover. Gun.
All right, guys, how you doing? Let's just get some quick updates.
Deux incendies criminels se sont déclarés ce matin dans le Grand Montréal. D'abord, Annick, il y a eu un incendie de véhicule dans l'arrondissement Rivière-des-Prairies, Pointe-aux-Trembles.
So, fires on vehicles in Pointe-aux-Trembles in Montreal on the east end tip.
Oui, vers minuit 30, là, cette nuit, les policiers du SPVM ont été appelés à aller intervenir.
So it happened about midnight and a half. And this article's on Sunday, the 10th of November.
Dans l'arrondissement de Pointe-aux-Trembles, c'est un véhicule qui a été là, incendié. Et lorsque les policiers sont arrivés sur place, bien, les pompiers étaient déjà en train d'éteindre les flammes. La voiture qui, elle, est une perte totale, mais la voiture qui était garée là, dans un stationnement d'un immeuble à logement.
So the vehicle was parked in front of a property, a residential property.
Quand même assez loin, donc il n'y a pas eu de dommages sur d'autres véhicules.
And it was pretty far from other vehicles, so it didn't cause more damage than except the car itself.
Ni sur l'immeuble à logement. C'est un incendie quand même qui est considéré comme criminel. Donc, c'est pour ça que le SPVM là, enquête de ce côté-là parce que on n'a pas trouvé d'accélérant sur la scène. Mais
they did not find accelerants on the scene. That's a new one. Usually we do find accelerants.
Témoins ont été rencontrés et selon eux, on aurait vu quelqu'un le rôder autour de la voiture au même moment.
So no suspects, but bystanders did see someone roaming around that vehicle, it seems.
On écoute le SPVM.
All right, we're going to skip that because the cops never say anything.
S'auto-vérification seulement le prochain jour.
On se trouve sur la rue Bernard-Pilon à Belleuil. Ce serait un petit centre commercial, selon nos informations, là, qui aurait pris en feu. Donc, l'incendie qui a éclaté. Là,
Now it's funny. The next one is we have never seen this before, you know, and the wording is undeniable, you know. Since when have you and I talked about how you call those like a mini mall, or not a mall but maybe a mini commercial a commercial center. When have we covered a commercial center burning? You would assume it's an accident, but the wording here is that the mini commercial center was targeted. That changes everything, does it not? And but this time it's in a city we don't hear about often, Belleuil.
Un peu avant 4 heures. Et là, toujours selon nos informations, ce serait un incendie qui serait considéré là, comme suspect.
Yeah, so saying a suspicious fire.
Et le bâtiment également serait perte totale.
So the building itself is a complete loss.
Donc, on vous revient là un peu.
Interesting. I'm going to yeah, we don't have much information. All right, let's just go to the next. The fires continue. Oh, there's another fire here. We may have covered this one, but we didn't see the tape. So let's see the tape.
Incendie plus tôt ce matin dans l'arrondissement Saint-Laurent à Montréal.
So another fire in Saint-Laurent, Ville Saint-Laurent, the neighborhood in the north end of Montreal. Well, there's many north ends, if you will. We would be talking about the northwestern end, the one that famously crosses over to Laval and gets you to the other area. It's usually the same kind of communities. You got Lebanese in both sides from the Laval or Saint-Laurent, but Saint-Laurent is where we've been seeing these vehicles burning over and over. Many commerces being targeted as well. We've seen that over and over the past 2 years. So that's the area, once again, we're talking about. And they're talking about trucks being set ablaze.
C'est plusieurs camions qui ont été la proie des flammes.
Oh, and I need to remind you, earlier January or February, we had a Syrian man, a 70-year-old man, who owned, I don't know, he owned a restaurant or something in near Bois-Franc or in Saint-Laurent, and he got popped. He got popped going to his vehicle. He was threatened before. Might be something related to the underworld, the Arabic underworld, maybe tobacco related. But that was the rumors, that it was tobacco related. And you have to buy tobacco from them. Now, don't quote me on this. It's still a rumor. But it's the same phenomenon happening in... was it Australia? I think it was Australia, where you have criminal gangsters from Lebanon who are trying to muscle the market over there too, where you have to buy from them. You sort of wonder if it's the same, because they're getting their tobacco from somewhere, right? You wonder if they all have the same source. I'm just wondering this, Plus, the price of tobacco, the taxes they put on these. They create the underworld market without maybe doing it on purpose, our governments, It's the same for the cane market. It's the same for all these stupefier markets. You make them illegal. There's a pro and a con. The con is this. So now we're talking about tobacco. Well, the pack of tobacco you're buying should cost no more than $3, maybe $4. But you go to the store and it's costing you $16, $17, $18, $20. And it's all that extra cost makes it so. These guys, tobacco's cheap in reality, so they can find ways to get it from the cultivators, whatever it is in the world, and just need to find a way to smuggle it in. Once they get it smuggled in, now it's 3 to 4 times cheaper than buying it. And plus people are addicted. They're addicted. They need this to stabilize their moods, to survive, to not be depressed, to not lose their jobs, to be able to handle this crappy situation in the capitalist economy, whatever it is. And they can't just they can't live like this, where all their paychecks is being siphoned away from them. So you'll do whatever it takes to save a little money, to not save a lot of money, and be able to hold on to your blood, sweat, and tears when you go to work and you come back, and not get extorted by your own government. So that's why these things exist, right? But anyways, that's the community, and I was talking to you about. It's rumored in that area they're muscling in on many businesses. One of them being the guy I told you, the off-tim, maybe was not re-upping his tobacco from them. But in that same neighborhood, we've had cars burning, and then today we have trucks burning as well.
Oui, et ça a été contrôlé quand même assez rapidement. Là, Simon, on se trouve dans le quartier industriel de l'arrondissement. Je vous montre tout de suite. Vous pouvez voir que les pompiers sont en train finalement de terminer leur travail. On se trouve à l'intersection des rues Douglas B, Fiorani et Sifilo. Et donc, ce qu'on peut comprendre finalement ont été la proie des touchant les pompiers être criminels. Donc, on tente toujours de comprendre la cause de cet incendie. Pas déterminé. C'est ça qui me dit que ce n'est pas encore considéré comme criminel.
So it's not yet considered criminal, but they're going to check. But, I don't know, man. There's just too many fires burning there in that neighborhood and on vehicles. Just too many, man. Way too many. So where we're at, let's skip this. We're good. Next one, man. This one, it's going to be interesting a little bit. Well, a lot. I don't know him, but when I saw this picture, immediately I recognized it. Now that's going to ding me. So he's holding a silencer there. That picture is the famous picture. Someone just completed a hit. You could tell he's running. And I do recall that was the tape. I think it was, there you go, David Barberio. So... yes, the guy who tried to off David Barberio, it looks like. Let me just double check here with you, right? I don't read them. I just glance at to see if it's going to be interesting. Possession of arms, 2 individuals condemned to a sentence they already purged. Whatever that means. So you have a Charles McLee, 2011. 2 individuals who the police suspected of wanting to off a close friend of bikers have pled guilty to a possession of arms Monday morning, were condemned to 4 years of prison. So this name is very familiar. We read this before. Guyans Lee Souverain. So it's Guyans Lee Sovereign, 25. We have a McLee Charles, 39, detained since February 22nd. The year, 2022. So they got preventative, you say, I don't know what you call it, a preemptive detention, whatever it's called, when you serve the time already. So they calculate it as time and a half. So let's just say time and a half. They got time and a half. So they only have 1 day left to purge after this sentence they just got. Regardless, if Charles comes out of prison Tuesday, it will not be the case of the sovereign. Still accused of having tried to off mafioso David Barberio, who was hit by a round in his garage residence in Laval in September of 2021. Question is, who gave that order to off David Barberio? That's the $1 million question here. The police suspect that this man, Gansley Souverain, filmed after the attempted offing on David Barberio. I think David had the cameras in front of his home, right? Because, man, you don't capture a shot like perfect like this, right? An address on Google Maps. In the beginning, Sovereign and Charles were facing multiple accusations, notably trying to kill, Carlos Fernandez, a close friend of bikers, but it was on February 22nd. The investigation then led the Montreal police. The investigation led by Montreal police had began when information they received from police of Toronto, in which, notably, it was a question of a stolen vehicle. Interesting, huh? 2022, in the heat of the stolen vehicle situation in Canada. That led to them getting information. So there were stolen vehicles, Toronto, investigation there, and somehow they had information on this. Very, very strange linking. Good morning, Anthony. After a couple of days of following, members of the tactical intervention of the SPVM intercepted 2 individuals separately. So they got information from Toronto, they got a lead, and then they started to follow 2 suspects. And then they intercepted them. We're good so far? And then the investigators found on their vehicle and in the home firearms, right? And a cell phone that was turned on with the application Google Maps was open, and it was leading to the address of Fernandez. So they were about to go off Fernandez, according to this article, who was they say, close friend of the bikers. Okay, so they were trying to go off a biker, and clearly they were going after David Barberio. But the lawyers of the accused, Master Nelly Benoit and Master Charles Levasseur, presented a 60-page document in which they were arguing the constitutional rights of their clients had been, not respected during their arrest, notably on the motives of the search. Okay, and the right of having a lawyer, or the lawyer rights, whatever that means, probably having a lawyer or present, or having a lawyer available when they demanded it, something like that. So after having announced this, whatever, and argued over it, the defense suggested a 4-year sentence. We're going to skip this part. Anyway, it says on October 2013, McLee Charles was condemned to 9 years of prison for his participation in the offing of Raymond Ellis, who was mistakenly offed, I guess, because they believed he was a member of the rival gang. Raymond Ellis was offed by shanking on a bar in downtown Montreal in 2005, almost 20 years ago. Sovereign was condemned to 14 months of prison for trafficking stupefires, disrupting a police officer's search or something like that, not respecting his condition in 2018, and he got a sentence of 20 days on something else, basically, something else. All right. Well, these are the people, man. We got no more than this. Keeps going. Okay, a leader, or how you say, how you call it, like a known figure of Arab power, was getting pizza delivered to him in prison. Here you have him. 25-year-old. Yeah, this I did read it to see if there, but it didn't have much in there. It's just he's complaining. He's in prison now, and he's gonna be whining and complaining about, not about how he got there and taking responsibility for it, but more pretending it's the world's fault. And now he's here, and it's not a 5-star hotel. You know, that's what he's complaining about. A little bit like Rabbi. They all do this, you know. Even not Rabbi, Rabbi's friend. You know, forgot his name. The one with what is his name again? Man, it's not coming to me. I forgot his name. You know his Rabbi's best friend, the Hell's Angel. Him too. He's complaining that the water wasn't hot enough. He's complaining about other stuff too. You know, despite that his conditions are so bad. You know, and that he manages to have a cell phone on him inside of prison. It's got to be so bad, you know. They're controlling everything you're doing. You can't even breathe. That the cell phone's in your hand, and you're able and willing to make phone calls, and then the guards are laughing with you. It's that bad, you know. When they figure out it was a joke and you ordered pizza, it was so funny, such a ambiance, you know. That's horrible that you could do all that. But now you need the lawyer to, you know, to complain about how bad it is, etc. You know, the same, nothing new there. So he was implicated in all sorts of crime, trafficking, discharging rounds, kidnapping, and now offing too. That's police saying this, so who knows? They're not exaggerating stuff. All right, we're gonna skip this. Nothing worthwhile. But that's it. That's the guy's main one. Vague wave of extortions against restaurants in the pizza wars. Right? We found out that at least 2 or 3 gangs are vying for extortion money in the downtown area, or the old port at the very least. We showed you the map. We pinpointed a few, and we found out that the bikers maybe controlled a chic bar in that same area that the extortions are happening, literally walking distance. And in that same bar, we have street gang members going there to eat, but they go there to eat with their tool on them, you know. And then when the cops come to investigate, they go to the kitchen, they look at the employees, and they give them the bag, and they say, "Hold this bag," you know, and there's the tool in it. And then the cops, you know, you remember that story? So that's that sector, that's that area. It's a very specific sector, guys, you know, very specific. Okay. Keep that in mind. It's extremely specific. So I just mentioned you one restaurant, but I'm trying to tell you there's about that block is getting extorted. Multiple restaurants have been receiving letters with a bullet inside demanding money. All right? That's what this is all about. And we had that lawyer's property that he owns, not too far from there, in the old port, getting burned down by one of those gangs. But there's about 2 or 3 of those gangs. The question's always, who are those gangs? Who are those gangs? That's what I want to figure out. Now, let's read this. I did not read it. We'll read it together and translate it for you. All right. So, yeah, there was that fire recently. Remember the mother and the woman, the kid who came here at tourism, who came to travel were tourists. They rented like a hostel or something like that on top. They got off. That's what it says here. And they believe it was Arab power. We're going to skip. During the 10 first months of this year, 2024, between January and October 31st, 25 criminal fires targeting restaurants and bars were committed in Montreal. That's a lot of them. 19 of these misdeeds or 4 out of 5, happened between June 1st and October 4th only. You need to really let that sink in. That's very, very interesting, During the summertime, that's a small window. June to July, till August, till September, and to October. 4 months. Within those 4 months, those 25, 19 of them happened within those 4 months. So what happened in those 4 months? What precipitated all of them happening in that time frame? Don't just tell me the weather is good. That's not enough. What happened? Whose plan was set in motion? Is this all? Is one of these properties owned by the? I mean, is multiple properties owned by the same person? For example, that they targeted maybe 4 or 5 times that this summer, or did someone get out of jail? Does someone all of a sudden need a lot of money? Or something happened, or they had an idea this summer that it needed to happen now or never? These are the questions that I really want answered. And I leave them out in the air because eventually we read and then we go, aha, in the next coming months. This has happened. My mind is your mind. I'm saying what you might be thinking. And then we read in the future and we enjoy when it hits us in the face. So keep going. During these 4 months, these 4 months, there's a pizza war. Some of it demanded by criminals to restaurants in exchange for protection, which is really extortion. I'm still translating. Which would have ravaged which would have been all the rage for at least 3 criminal groups implicated in doing this. Previous article we were reading is these 3 are competing against each other. Now that's a big word to say, competing against each other. Could mean a lot of things. Are they in conflict with each other? Then what's the link with this? Or they're just simply all 3 operating there, and so happens that, they can't all be masters of the same kingdom, so it puts them at odds indirectly. But we got to mention that in the future. It comes out in details. We're going to appreciate this. Now, some of these incidents, criminal fires, also manifested themselves in other ways, such as rounds being let off at the commerces, threatening messages, demanding ransoms, and also breaking and entering in the middle of the day while they're operating, such as this video, which I'd love to show you. We've seen it before. It got me dinged. I don't want to show you now. The guy just walks in. I could tell you right now, with hoodied up, whatever. He walks in with a instrument on him, and he starts to bang the glasses, breaking stuff. He goes all the way here, and almost hits the poor girl working there for minimum wage, trying to, and then he but he doesn't, thank God, and he hits other stuff, and then he runs out. That obviously that happened after they left threatening messages multiple times, and now they're carrying it out. What else we got? So we got, you see rounds being let off, also leaving shells inside of envelopes. They were sticking those envelopes on the windows. So imagine putting a bullet inside of a envelope and then you tape the envelope to the window. So something to note. That's what they do. And also Molotovs, throwing them and breaking the window, and the Molotov goes in and and it burns. But also note this: Molotovs that were not used. So they would fill it up with the accelerant and go towards the entrance, leave it right in front of the door, and it's obvious what this is, type of scenario. They have to make it very obvious, because some completely innocent person has no clue. He'll just walk in, he'll just see a beer bottle and might just kick it down on the side. And, you got to sort of be able to also make it seem obvious, not too unobvious too, or someone will just kick it on the side and you wasted your time. So, but they without setting it ablaze, they know how to make it look threatening without activating it. So they do leave some near the door somewhere somehow. You wonder how they pull that off to make it threatening without making it seem just part of the decor of someone throw something on the street. And garbage is everywhere these days. Next one, according to our information, a total of 40 events linked to this war. About half of them are criminal fires happened in Montreal between June and October. But since, nothing more. Interesting. So since October, it's been quiet? Is that what he's saying? Since October, it's been quiet? Now, you remember Palma? Restaurant Palma in Griffintown was targeted by rounds in July. We definitely covered that. Guaranteed. Now, that's the question. It's a good question they're asking. How to explain this sudden calmness? So, we've been covering it for almost 2 years now. But it intensified between June to October, as you could tell. And then after, October's not that long ago, right? It's last month. But then in October, they went completely dead. It stopped. All went quiet. Could it be the media attention? But that's the question they're asking. How come this quiet? The SPVM affirms that, the units that they've put at task of catching these people, which led to the arrests of several suspects who would have set ablaze the building. Remember that building last month in the Old Port that killed the mother and the child? Has definitely contributed to this calmness now. But the police believe that the word has circulated between the actors of this war, who equally are worried about being in the police's crosshairs. Now, their quote is, probably those who commanded these infractions did not foresee receiving so much consequences for their dramatic choices. Hence, it opened the eyes of everybody, even bandits that are behind this type of outrageous crime, which is unacceptable. And that's the reason for which you see these people. That's the reason we've doubled our efforts to go against these people. The criminals do not show off, do not gloat about this type of crime. They are not happy because that makes the police point point them against these people. They get attention, basically. They do not want this kind of negative publicity. There are names that are part of the media. There are names that came out in the media, and these people must not be happy about it. Yeah, same thing he's repeating. Now, the possible actors. Who are these possible actors? In the last few weeks, 3 names came up. One is condemned to life for offing. Younes Aitaki. And 2 chiefs of gangs. Atna Ona. Remember the guy who was meeting in the park with mafia? Bikers. Remember, he was meeting bikers and street gang members in this park that was captured on surveillance. We had pictures that were released to the media. I showed you those pictures. Remember that one? I think his nickname is Tupac, and we found out that he didn't like Gregory Woolley, and he made it known. Unfortunately, these days they make it known on the internet. But he's not one of those idiots, though. He's not one of. It just happened. Everyone can make mistakes. But no, he's an older generation gangster. I think he's not one of those young guys who it's nothing like that. So, but he's one of them. And Jean-Philippe Célestin as actors of this pizza pizza grabbing, these extortions downtown. These are the three names. It doesn't mean that it's them, But these are, rumors or people who are influential who might be behind it. They think, the cops we'll take it at face value. You have one guy is inside of a maximum penitentiary or maximum prison. He's not moving in his cell. I don't know how many hours a day. Leader or alleged leader of Arab power. He has nothing to lose. Causing havoc on the street. What's it gonna change for him? Actually, it might give him pleasure, revenge on society. Then you have two that are walking freely. Maybe not him. I don't recall, but I think he's definitely free. So you have Atnaona and Jean-Philippe Celestin. So one member of the Marauders Bikers Club used to be underling of Gregory Woolley. And then the other guy is a leader of street gangs. Okay? So now he comes back to talking about Arab power, who has climbed the ranks of the underworld, if you will. Or made headline news. Yeah, I think it's more about made headline news. My apologies. But the police does not exclude that there are other groups. Looks like we're getting the names now. Remember I told you who are these 2-3 other groups? These are the leaders, right? But I doubt Marauders have anything to do with this. I'm a little doubtful of this one, to be honest. It doesn't seem their way of doing this, burning down buildings. You know what I mean? I don't buy it too much. I don't know him, but street gangs, you could tell they're heinous. They do whatever they go. You saw the people that were going inside of the stores. I showed you the tape. It looks like street gang members. So I wanted to see some street gang names, and it looks like we're getting some right now. That's the question in the very beginning. Who are these actors? So here are more likely scenarios, names that make more sense, but it doesn't mean it's them. We have New Generation, Family, NGF. We have Arabs with Attitude, AWA, and you have the Rolling 90s. Remember Markins Villemay, I think? The guy was on... he was caught, they were showing him with Eunice. The cops were surveilling Eunice. Eunice had just finished killing someone. And he roofed the Glock inside of the river. He drove back and he came to speak to... Immediately, as if reporting to his boss. He rolled in. He literally, if you want to make a joke, he rolled in on the Rolling 90s guy. And the cops grabbed a picture of it. They were talking. And you could tell they were talking about some serious shit. Side by side. You go. So you got Rolling 90s there too. Now, is this emergence of actors and groups and their implication in crime in the Pizzo other times exclusive to the Italian mafia symptomatic of a weakening in the structure of the traditional organized crime? Has asked this newspaper to the commander of the police. Now, the commander answers, you could call it a weakness. It's a emptiness or a void that's getting filled, and it will continue. If tomorrow the police operations weaken this group, there will be another one to come take their place the next day. So here are the stats quickly. The criminal fires in restaurants and bars, which you and I have covered over these 2-3 years. And it's nice to be able to look at it because I can't remember them all. But looking at it like this, it gives you an idea. Look, 2019, 20, 21, back down, 2022. And then we started to cover these around these 2 years here. You see how much it shot up. 2023, man. Now, the sums asked is $100,000. Sometimes, that is. We're going to skip. We're going to try not to waste time. The actors of the extortions, the people on the foot soldiers, are often minors or suspects between 18 to 24. Yep. As you saw in the tapes when the guy comes in, Remember we showed you other tapes when there was remember that salon, that beauty salon? Was it in Laval? I think it was the beauty salon. Remember two guys, it looked like two young kids, a younger generation, whatever. They broke into that door with a brick, and then they got in and they tried to light the place on fire. And you also remember the Hells Angels bunker in Frampton, and they found the remains of a kid. You know, the kid who tried to set it on fire, and he drove from Montreal to do it, and he was what, 14? So all this makes sense. Do you got anything else? All right, that's it. We'll do it. You see, this is the story earlier I told you about. The Syrian man who owned the restaurant who got offed. Look, says, there's another wave of criminal fires tied to extortions that were in Montreal and Laval last year. But they were targeting more specifically shisha bars. That's what I was telling you. So they're specifically targeting tobacco shops in Laval and Montreal. That's the exact same pattern in Australia. But Australia, we do have an answer. Here, it's still, how you say, it's still, what's the word? It's still murky. Who did it? What's going on? You know, it's still murky. But you can almost assume it's going to be very close to the same. In Australia, it's been confirmed. It's Arabic or Lebanese street gangs that have links to their motherland, and they're getting their tobacco from the motherland. Somehow they're getting it smuggled here, and then they get it smuggled here, and then they want all these mom and pop Arabic shisha spots that to be forced to buy from them, or they burn their place down. You know, that's what's going on over there. Only time will prove if we got some similar scenario here, you know. At the very least, they're getting extorted by their own, Arab gangsters, that is, you know. At the very least, it's got to be something like this. But, yeah, that's it, guys. Have a good day, everyone, man. Have a good day, guys. Thank you for joining in. Shout out to Anthony, DC, Daniel Gould, and Chris Inslee, and everybody else.